Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Kevin Spire, owner of Inspired Connections, a genealogy research company helping you connect to ancestors. Today I am partnering with the Iowa Genealogical Society for this presentation of Beginning Genealogy, also known as Genealogy Basics. This is session number 4 of a 4-part series to help you get started with climbing your family tree. Let's get started. During this session, I will talk with you about organizing your genealogical information using paper or electronic methods, computer software, and online trees. We all collect a lot of information about our ancestors, so let's take a closer look and see what method works best for you. Let's talk first about using paper and forms. First off, using paper to document your family history. It's still a valid way to document. People have been doing it for hundreds and hundreds of years, long before the computer age ever came into being. But you need to do a little more planning and give this a little more forethought on how you want to organize it. You might want to sort out your family by generations, or maybe you want to organize it by, let's say, your 4 grandparents, and have a separate folder or a separate binder for each one of those 4 grandparents where you start collecting your documents and placing your documents. There are ways you can do this with different colored folders or 3-ring binders. There's a number of methods for storing your paper and your documentation that you collect. And I recommend folks to just do some simple Google searches on paper methods for genealogy. You'll find a lot of different ideas out there, and there's always some new ideas that look like they'd be great methods. Of course, when you're using paper, you never want to carry those irreplaceable or expensive to replace documents with you. If you're going to the library or a county courthouse, you might want to take a copy with you so you don't lose that expensive one. And then think about some of the materials you need to store your paper items, like archival storage boxes, maybe some plastic protector sleeves or some folders. These are good things to ask for as holiday gifts or maybe birthday gifts as they come up from other family members. Using forms. Now, whether you decide to organize in a paper method or an electronic method, you're definitely going to be using forms for your research. They help you record and organize what you know, or even what you think you know, just getting it out of your head and putting it down on paper. You want to use those pedigree or ancestor charts and the family group sheets to record that information, and you'll definitely want to use pencil because you'll be updating them frequently. But using these forms, they help alert you to things like missing information or inconsistent information that just doesn't quite look right, and you have some questions about the accuracy of what you've collected. They help identify things like maybe you've got documented that some children were born after the mother's death. Well, how did that happen? Well, you probably have a date wrong, or maybe you have a wrong child with the wrong mother. That's the type of thing I'm talking about, alerting you to in the accuracy of the information you're collecting. So where can you find some of these forms? Well, if you already have the genealogy software program on your computer, many times that software will just generate the forms for you. If not, you can find them by just Googling genealogy forms, and you will find a number of locations where you can get them for free. You can also find them on FamilySearch.org, Ancestry.com. They have forms to download. Also at a number of libraries like the Mid-Continent Public Library in Independence, Missouri, they have forms that you can download and print for free. Let's take a look at some of these forms. We're going to start with a pedigree or ancestor chart. Now, you see a number of them on the screen here, and know that there are some different styles in these charts, but they all record pretty much the same information, just a little bit of variance between them. We're going to take a closer look here at this one that I got from Ancestry. So on the form, and I want to walk through this just in case you're not familiar with them, but on the form here, you'll see that there's a spot for a person's name. And then underneath that, we have a birth date and a birthplace, marriage date and place, and death date and place, and then the name of a spouse here. And from there, you can identify this person's father's information and also their mother's information. And then you do the same for the parentage of the father and the mother, and on and on. Once you complete a sheet and it's full, then you need to start a second sheet. So we'll call this chart number 1, as indicated up here. And we'll take this person, we're going to say that he's going to be on chart number 2. We start a fresh sheet, and we take that person's name, we put it down here, and then we start to build out their line of ancestors for them. And that's how you build out a pedigree chart. Now, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to build a pedigree chart? What does it show you? Well, it shows you that ancestral line of the individual, and it helps to make the connections between the people. You know, if you just have a big pile of names, it's kind of hard to keep track of how they're related. So these pedigree charts is what helps to tie them together. And it gives that basic or core information for each person on the chart with that overview perspective of their connection. Next, we're going to talk about family group sheets. Again, just like with the pedigree charts, there are a number of different styles. They're all kind of basically the same, but some of them collect a little bit different information. We're going to take a closer look at this one. It's called a family unit chart, but it's the same thing as a family group sheet. And it came from the Midwest Genealogy Center in Independence, Missouri. So you'll see on here that we have an area for information collected about the husband and information collected about the wife. Birth, death, burial information and marriage information, name of the husband's father and mother, as well as the wife's father and mother, and then other wives or other husbands that this person might have had. And then down below we have space for each of the children that were born to this couple, and some birth, marriage, and death information for the children. Now, why do you want to do a family group sheet? What's the reason for doing this? Well, it shows you those immediate family members, those family units, and how they're related. Remember that pedigree chart that we looked at earlier didn't show you any siblings in there, but this family group sheet will show you more detailed information about the family unit. It can also identify where they lived and where they might have moved. And it shows the marital status of the kids. It also shows you a little bit of what's missing. Now, if you have a situation where one of the parents has multiple spouses, then you want to create a separate family group sheet for that marriage. You never want to combine them on the same sheet. It just gets too confusing. And especially if there's a different set of children for each marriage. In this situation, just paperclip the two family group sheets or staple them together to help keep them organized for you. All right, some basic rules in completing these sheets. You definitely always want to refer to women by their maiden names. It avoids some confusion here. If you don't know the maiden name, leave it blank. You might find it later, And, I have a lot of blanks by many of the women in my family tree because I just have not discovered that maiden name yet. For dates, I would recommend the format I'm showing on the screen where you have 2-digit date, 3-letter month, and 4-digit year. I would really avoid the format you're seeing there that says 11/2/90. We don't know if that's November the 2nd or the 11th of February. And we also don't know for sure if that's 1790 or 1890. You definitely want to find a consistent format where there is no assumptions on the dates. When it comes to recording places, typically go from smallest to largest. So start with identifying a town first, or a township, followed by name of the county, name of the state, and then the name of the country. If you only know the state, just list the state and the country, or just the county, just from the county on up. Document what you know and be consistent in the manner that you do it. Okay, let's talk next about computer software and the options there. Maybe you don't have any computer software and you're shopping for some. If you are, what I've listed on the screen here are some of the more popular ones that people are familiar with, like Family Tree Maker, Legacy, and Roots Magic. There are many others out there that work well. Again, you can find them with some simple Google searches. And their functionality is pretty comparable. They just might collect information and data somewhat differently. Honestly, in looking at these, I cannot say that one is any better than the other. They just have some little differences, and it's kind of based on personal preference. My recommendation is to go out to some of these websites and see if they might have a free version that you can download or a demo version. It might have some limited functionality about it, but at least you can play with it a little bit and see if you like it or you don't. Or sometimes they have some screenshots that you can look at. It just gives you some familiarity of what that software looks like and how it operates before you make the purchase price for the item. Another option that's out there is web-based software that's on the cloud. Now, I'm going to be honest, and I don't have a lot of experience with this. I haven't used it before, but there are some software programs that they reside on the cloud and you can access them from there. You don't have to have anything downloaded on your computer for them. Some are free, some have costs. You can look at the ones that I have identified on the screen, or you might do some Google searches and find some other ones. Just know that you are going to be dependent on internet availability to access these. So that is a restriction that you have when accessing a cloud-based system. Another option that's very popular, especially with people that are just starting, is to create a tree on an online website somewhere. Someone that can host it for you. So I'm talking about websites like Ancestry.com, FamilySearch.org, Tribal Pages. There are a number of other ones that allow you to create an online tree, and most of them are free and at no cost that you can do this, and you can build your tree out there on their website. Now, of course, I think there's some pros and cons to using online trees, and the pros are if you use an online tree, of course, you're not going to have the expense of that software and maintaining the software on your own computer. And you can get at it very easily, whether it's on your laptop or maybe on your cell phone or your tablet or some other device. It's not just on your hard drive of your computer. Also, the backups are maintained by someone else. You don't have to worry about that type of thing. And you often get hints provided to you by those websites that help you with your research. On the flip side, with some cons, I would suggest you want to be sure to check out your user agreement and understand who owns the data that you're creating on that website for your tree. You may or may not be the owner, and the um, the organization that owns that website might have some details in the user agreement you want to be aware of. Also, you might be contributing to a communal tree that can also be openly available to others to copy. For some people, they're not real comfortable with that. They don't want that. And if that's you, then maybe an online tree isn't a good idea for you, or you want to be sure that you're marking your tree as private, that others cannot access it or view it. A lot of times I find with these online trees, there's some limited functionality. They just don't have real good reporting abilities on them because people typically aren't looking for reporting functionality. I kind of like the recommendation that Lisa Louise Cook gives when it comes to online trees. And if you don't know Lisa, she is a very popular podcaster and genealogy lecturer. She says, plant your tree in your own backyard and share branches online. And what she means by that is go ahead and invest in this if it's going to be a long-term hobby for you of genealogy, and get that software. That way, you know that you hold the one true and proven copy of your genealogy research. Of course, you can still share some branches online, and then you can get those hints that Ancestry or Family Search provides. And you can keep your branch out there as long as you want, or you can delete it if you don't want it out there anymore, but you still know where your one true copy resides. Thank you for joining me today as we reviewed these steps of genealogy basics. Be sure to check out my other sessions where I talk about some of the key and foundational reasons for your genealogical research. Also taking a deeper dive and researching with foundational records, looking out for common mistakes and pitfalls, and establishing good work habits. In the meantime, good luck climbing your family tree.